Hey, welcome to the next video tutorial of the Epic Arpeggiator revision 3. And in this revision I'm going to explain the pattern Arpeggiator. If you're new to this, you probably don't know much of what all of these options mean. Let me quickly start and browse through the option from top to bottom. Let's start with the apply profile. The top profile starts with the note matrix, and the top row represents the note value columns, and the left vertical column represents the octave rows. And each checkbox represents a note value and in a specific octave. This is complete octave 3 with all the notes in that octave. And for each octave you also have specific inversion buttons that invert the selection. Same goes for the note value columns. And you can also invert the whole block. Not that it's important to know, but if you think you can use or experiment with these features, they are available. Next to the matrix, or instead of the matrix, you can choose the custom note profile. And the difference between a matrix and a custom note profile is that the custom note profile allows you to sequence notes in specific orders if you desire that. You cannot do that in the matrix. You can select a C4 and an E4 and a G4, but you cannot really ask it to start with the G and then with the E, back to the G and then to the C. These kind of orders you cannot do except with the custom note profile. And then the recording, well, as explained at the start, within the options you can set a MIDI device, or you can simply also pick the computer keyboard. I've arranged the tool to listen to the computer keyboard, so the specific note keys like the Z or Z key also apply here. When I press the F5 key, do the Z, E and then G. They work. And then I can create a note profile that you cannot use in the matrix. Also, recording the note profile can be done as easily in the matrix using the computer keyboard or the MIDI keyboard. And if that's not enough, you can fetch the current note profile from the current track. If you have a specific note profile on your track, you just click the fetch from track button. It will select all available notes and then check the specific note that is occurring in the track. For the matrix you can apply this for all notes throughout the whole song, because this specific area that you have selected applies. If I clear this and simply select only these two notes and do a selection in track and then perform a fetch from track, it will only select these two notes. Same from the custom. It only performs at the selection in track or track and pattern, and the column in track. Track and song is not supported for the custom note profile. Column and track and song don't work. For the matrix it does work, because it only needs to know which specific notes in the range occurs anywhere in the song, and it simply checks it. Good, that was the custom note profile in the matrix. If we go to the instrument and volume pool selection, the instrument is not particularly exciting, but you can attach a different instrument number to each occurring note in your either custom note profile or your matrix profile. which means that whenever it generates a note, it will attach the available instrument in the sequence and then go on to the next instrument reference. If this field is empty or has the example input, it will pick the currently selected instrument in the instrument list. For the volume goes the same. If you have the example filled in or the field is empty, it will simply take the full value, which means that there will be no values filled in the volume column. However, if you want to be sure nothing is filled in, just empty the field and you are ensured that nothing is being filled in. To make it easier for the user to reference to an instrument, I've allowed to insert not only decimal values, but you can also insert hexadecimal values, because the instrument number in the instrument list is represented by hexadecimal values. It's the only requirement though is that you type in 0x to indicate you are typing in a hexadecimal value. 0x10, but you can be ensured if you type in 0x and then the specific figure that you read from the instrument list, you're really selecting that instrument. The same goes for the volume value. You can type in the decimal value, or you can just say the 0x10, 0x 7f, whatever you desire of both formations. The volume pool also allows to fill in specific effects, and you can also fill in these effects in the volume pool field. The rotation schemes, you have top down, top. Let's start with a simple example, clear everything. Pick C, E, G, and we click Arpeggiate, track and pattern. You will notice it will generate a note sequence C, E, G in the order of appearance, and then it will start again from the font with C, E, G. Down top, Arpeggiate, G, E, C. And if we select top, down, top, you will have a C, E, G, and then we'll go back to E and then back to C. So it will create a sequence to the G and then go back and then start from C again. If you select either the top down top or the down top down, the repeat button appears and it will repeat the last and the first note in the sequence. Let's do that. Arpeggiate. You will have a C, E, G, and it will repeat the G again, then go to the E, and then back to the C, which will also be repeated, and then go back in the chain. Good, this is how the rotation schemes work. There is a random value for the volume and for the instrument. You can simply apply them separately. You cannot for the note octave. The note and the octave figures are linked to each other, so if you set one to random, the other is being set to random as well, and you cannot change the value. As soon as you change this drop down to any of the other values, the drop down of the octave becomes available again. And then you can select a specific or octave order in a different rotation scheme. The minimum distance between notes is if you have only one column always in line. If you add another column or two columns, you can also select delay. And delay means, let's arpeggiate and pick a value of 16, which is hexadecimal 10, to make it clear. It will put a note with value 0 on the first column, and on the second column it will add 10 or 16, and the third column it will add another 16, which is 20 in hexadecimal. And that's how it rotates from left to right. It starts again when it creates a note on a new line. The note termination, if we go back to the note column, distance between notes 1, is where it will put the note off. Or, if you put it in ticks, how much ticks it will cut the note. If we arpeggiate it, you will see the note offs disappear, and the panning column will have a cut value. This will cut the notes. Renoise internal instrument supports this. Some VST plugins also supports this. Renoise sends the cut value as a note off value to the plugins, and some plugins accept this value, but not all. The Arpeggio pattern is what it should use. By default it sets distance, which means that it simply obeys the minimum distance between notes and the note termination, each note. Or each so many ticks. Each line, so many lines or so many ticks. You can also say, well, just dash in some notes anywhere in the track, arpeggiate, and it will pick a random position in the track and simply put a note there. Or you can create a custom profile. Now the custom profile, you can specifically tell Epic Arpeggiator to put a note on line 0, 2, 5, 7, 9, 11. Meaning it will put a well, let's just pick a note. We pick the example and we hit arpeggiate. You can see it puts a note on line 0, on line 2, on line 5, 7, 9, 11. And the distance, it says here NT, which means use the note termination each one line. So it puts a note off on the 12th line, and then it starts the pattern sequence again. So if we scroll down, we look at pattern 13, and we set to do it at line 2, and then it had to skip one line, which does it again here. And then 7, 9, 11, relatively seen, 7, 9, 11, terminate a note, and then start again from 0 to skip a note, etc. You can also say, well, take the BN, which means I want the value between notes being obeyed, which is currently set to 2 lines. Could also as well be delay, but currently I only have a 1 note column, so it cannot obey any delay value. The secondary mode you can apply is the binary mode, which makes stuff more simpler, because you don't have to count up which line exactly a note represents. You can say we do a note on the first line, second line, skip a line, 5th line, 7, 9, 11th, and then we terminate. And it does exactly the same. The only thing is that each 1 or 0 represents a line here. Of course, what I already explained, selection in track and pattern, depending on what you want to do. If you simply want to have a specific area where these notes has to be applied, click Arpeggiate and only the area of selection will be affected. If you do a column in track, let's clear the track. Column in track, it will only affect the specific selected column. Arpeggiate, now it will affect the third column. The same works for column in song. Yeah? So track and pattern affects the whole track, and column and track only affects the track where the cursor currently resides. On the right side you have a few checkboxes that you can check. The skip pen del means that if you have values in the volume pool and there are already values in both of columns, it will not override any specific column. If you have an effect, it will try to put it in the volume column. If there is no spaces, it will try to put it in the panning column. If this box isn't checked, it will erase the value that is currently there. However, if this box is checked, the value will not be overwritten, except the old note cuts command. So if you have note termination for note cuts, these values will also be overwritten. The override alias checkbox allows you to force note generation in a track when it is an aliased track. You can alias a track by holding the Alt key and then simply drop these values in the next patterns. However, if you are in the second track and then press this button, track and pattern, nothing happens, because this track is an alias of the previous track. It's a protection matter. However, if you check this box, it will override the contents anyway. You must be ensured that you really want to do that if you want to check this box. The autoplay result speaks for itself, and well, if you have generated the note sequence, it will autoplay the current track. Okay, that concludes our pattern ARP tutorial. Next video will be about the envelope arpeggiator. Well, see you in the next video.